Thank you to all my channel members, including my fan appreciation level members and my contributor level members, for helping support the YouTube channel. Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jonathan Cohn, and today I have my book review of the book Dune, the Battle of Corrin. This is the third book in the Legends of Dune trilogy that started with the Butlerian Jihad and this Machine Crusade. I read both of those in the last couple months. I have reviews of those books if you're interested in them. But I decided to pick up and finish out the trilogy now. And what I'll say is this is a fine conclusion, a pretty fine conclusion. Is it amazing? No. In fact, I would say that this is the weakest trilogy that Brian and Kevin wrote. They had some really good ideas in here, but the execution was just medium compared to what Brian and Kevin can do. I much prefer the Schools trilogy and the House trilogy to this trilogy, but it's still fun. People will tell you how horrible Brian and Kevin are. I still think they're a lot of fun to read. But this book is, as I mentioned, the epic conclusion. You're seeing the Butlerian Jihad come to an end. You are seeing the whole battle with the machines come to an end. You are seeing how Corrin leads to the Corrinos. And you're seeing all of this stuff develop, and it's just very satisfying as a conclusion. You basically have the machines versus like Omnius and Erasmus versus the humans, but then you also have a third group that's kind of fighting both, and that's Agamemnon with his Titans, who are like half machine, half man. And it's just interesting, a power dynamic having three different powers vying against each other. And this book is also interesting because it shows this is the first time really that Omnius is on the back foot. You know, in the first book, he's controlling everything. It looks like he might even take over the whole universe. And in the second book, he's battling out with the humans, but it looks like he's gonna beat them. But by the third book, he is basically has Corrino and maybe another planet, but that's pretty much it. He gets down to having nothing. And so that's why it's called the Battle of Corrin, because that's where the final battle takes place. Spoilers, no, not really. And so I really liked the action in the Battle of Corrin, like the actual Battle of Corrin. I actually really liked the action sequences there. I also really liked the character journey that Vorian Atreides goes on. He has a character journey with his father Agamemnon that's really good here. He also goes on a journey with Abelard Harkonnen, who actually was a fantastic character. Abelard Harkonnen was probably the standout character of this book, besides Vorian, who's like the main character of the trilogy, but Abelard was fantastic. I loved Abelard's story here, and he was really fascinating. And the whole idea of reclaiming the Harkonnen name and trying to do that, especially if you know what happens to the Harkonnens after this, was really fascinating, and I really enjoyed reading about that. I also really enjoyed reading about how the Spacing Guild gets kind of formed, basically, how Norma Senva is transformed in this book. You read about that. You also read about Agamemnon and his Titans as they form that kind of third group, and you see how he tries to lure back Vorian Atreides, and that was a great sequence. Oh, the stuff with the Titans was so well done here. That being said, oh my goodness, there's still so much stuff that wasn't needed. I still contend, even up to the third book, that the stuff on Arrakis was totally unnecessary. The only reason that Arrakis is there is because they're like, hey, that's the Dune planet. This is a Dune series. You have to include Dune. It's like, no, you don't. You could write the entire series without ever mentioning Arrakis. Or at least you can mention it and maybe reference it. But instead, there are actual plot lines on Arrakis that I still feel were totally unnecessary, and they could have cut them all to save the page count. This series, each book was like 600 or 700 pages. This series should have been 500 pages. It should have been like a 500, 550 max, and it should have been much more lean and mean as a book series. And I think that's one of the reasons it struggles compared to the others. The Arrakis storyline in the House Atreides and in the House trilogy absolutely needed. Absolutely needed there. And the stuff that happens in the Schools of Dune, everything felt like it matched as well, but it just doesn't feel that way with this trilogy, which is why it's the weaker trilogy. Now, This book is better for me than Messiah and Children of Dune, which I didn't enjoy as much, and it's also better than the short story collection Sands of Dune that I read. But still, it's a medium book. It's still good. It's just not amazing because they have written really excellent Dune books, Brian and Kevin. So that's why I'm a little disappointed. But still, it's a fine conclusion of the trilogy. If you want satisfying ending to the story, this is a very satisfying ending, and also leads in perfectly into the Schools of Dune. If you haven't read Schools of Dune, read that after this, because Schools of Dune, I read it out of order, but Schools of Dune is amazing. Schools of Dune is really good. It's the best stuff that Kevin and Brian did, in my opinion. So I haven't read everything that they've done, but so far of what I've read 10 of their Dune books, and the best books were their Schools of Dune. So let me know in the comments section what you thought of Dune, the Battle of Corrin, if you've read it, and what do you think of the Dune franchise as a whole. And until next time, I'm Jonathan, and thank you for watching.